College football playoff semis kick off Thursday night. Miami and Ole Miss. I can't imagine a game in which the storylines and the drama could be higher. Consider Miami started its run by going to College Station after being the last team to get into this playoff, even though they weren't positioned as the last one. Certainly the big surprise when they edge out Notre Dame to get in. Then they upset Texas A&M. Then they knock off Ohio State. They're the first double-digit seed to make it to college football's Final Four. And now they take on Miami, the Ole Miss, I should say, the Rebels path, which started with Lane Kiffin leaving for LSU. 20 days later, under the new head coach, Pete Golding, they beat Tulane. Then last Thursday, they upset the number 3 team in the country, Georgia. Ole Miss now a 3.5-point underdog to Miami, and their coaching situation is in limbo as they get set to head to Arizona for the Fiesta Bowl here. And so the timing of this could not be better, because just as we speak this morning, Heather Dinich, who joins us along with Paul and Greg again, has brand new information. I saw your story on ESPN.com just minutes ago regarding the coaching situation at Ole Miss for Thursday's game. People will remember Lane Kiffin took his staff. Some have been doing double duty. Some have not been allowed to. The timing of it all has been extremely highly scrutinized. Heather, what is the very latest?
The very latest, Greeny, is that 2 of the 6 coaches who were allowed to coach in the last game can continue on and come here in the Fiesta Bowl. That's offensive coordinator Charlie Weiss Jr. and running backs coach Kevin Smith. I was told that the Ole Miss administration made it clear to the LSU administration that any allegations of tampering were not the main concern. The main concern is winning the football game. And so the LSU administration allowed Lane Kiffin to continue to loan these 2 assistants with Ole Miss as they continue through the playoff. They got on a plane at 10:30 last night from Baton Rouge. Remember, they're trying to work the transfer portal and build LSU's roster with Lane Kiffin, who's paying them to do that, and fly back to Ole Miss, and they're going to come here today, later this evening, to Arizona to get ready for the Fiesta Bowl.
Loan is probably the appropriate word, but it's a fascinating circumstance. And I'm sure a lot of people will hear what you say, and they will react this way. So there were 6 of them that were allowed to coach the last game, and only 2 of them now. That's obviously a significant difference. Why?
Well, because the situation has changed. The transfer portal is open, and everyone has to remember that LSU is paying these coaches. They have signed contracts with LSU. Lane Kiffin has a job to do in Baton Rouge. And so this is the agreement that they had with Pete Golding and Ole Miss going through. I was told earlier in the week after this all happened that this had been communicated. And I was also told this morning from a source that those 2 coaches, the running backs coach and the offensive coordinator, will be allowed to continue to coach with Ole Miss if they beat Miami and make it to the national championship game.
Which would go all the way till the following Monday and a week further. However the English way I'm trying to say that is, there still would be a week and a half between those games that they would be continuing on. So, Paul, you're so much closer to this situation than I am. It's easy for me to sit here and have a strong opinion, but I want to hear yours before I give mine. Do you believe that people should think Lane Kiffin doesn't look good in this?
He looks terrible, Greeny. There's no way around it. And he continues to try to look better, and everything he does seems to fail. We talked last week. He wanted to go to the Sugar Bowl, sit with the governor, go on ESPN. Nobody wanted him there. And quite frankly, nobody wants him around anymore. But the idea that he or his administration is not allowing these coaches is patently ridiculous. Now, Greeny, there are a lot of coaches on these staffs. This isn't the old days when you had to break down film and it took 3 weeks. You have so many different analysts, including, how about this? I'm going to try not to get a laugh here in the other room, but Joe Judge is on the Ole Miss staff. He's a good coach if you're an Ole Miss fan. If you're a New York Giants fan, you're probably going to get that guy away from my team as fast as possible. But the point is, there are a lot of layers to this, but Charlie Weiss Jr. is the key. He's the offensive coordinator. He's the one that makes this engine tick.
So let me then get to Greg, because that, I think, is the most important question of all. At the end of the day, there's a ton of drama here. People love drama, so we'll pick apart the story a million different ways on shows like this. But as far as the actual impact on the game, as far as the actual impact on Ole Miss's ability to win Thursday night and go to a place this program hasn't seen in more than half a century, a chance to win a national championship, how much effect will all of this actually have on the game?
You know, Greeny, what's interesting is we did the game last week involving Ole Miss, and we talked to Pete Golding, the new head coach, and he was prepared for this. This was not a surprise to them. So what they've done is they've taken a bunch of other coaches that have either been on the staff in an analyst role or the new coaches that'll be coaching in 2026. They've actually been sitting in meetings with the departing coaches. So in the event in which Lane didn't let them coach beyond the Sugar Bowl, they could put that next guy in without any drop off in communication and actually what they're trying to get forth. So the impact on the player will be minimal at best. All you really need is Charlie Weiss in this scenario, like Paul just alluded to. He's the one that's calling the plays. He's the one that's putting together the game plan. It's no secret that him and the running back coach, they had the most leverage in trying to play it between Ole Miss and LSU. And Charlie Weiss basically said, I'm not going to LSU if you don't let me coach in the playoffs. So what'd Lane do? He's letting them coach in the playoffs. The running back coach had the same exact luxury. So they had leverage. They're able to stay and finish what they've started, whereas the other coach, not so much. They almost had to go. But this is something that Ole Miss was prepared for, so the impact on the team's performance will be almost nothing.
What a crazy story. The whole thing is so completely crazy, and it is all created primarily by the calendar. I mean, in the defense of Lane Kiffin and everyone else involved in it, they didn't make the timing of this what it is. They're dealing with the circumstances and the hand that they've been dealt. Heather, pick it up from there. What else does everybody need to know?
That Ole Miss quarterback Trinidad Chambliss has committed to returning to Ole Miss if his NCAA waiver to request another year of eligibility is granted. This is a little bit of a gamble from Ole Miss because if it's not, they have to figure out their quarterback situation for next year. But also their top running back Lacey has committed to return as well. So they've got core pieces in place to do this again next year if that NCAA waiver works out. And I talked to Ole Miss athletic director Keith Carter just minutes before the show. He told me he's hoping to get an answer from the NCAA in the next 7 to 10 days. That's his timeline, though. He's not sure what the NCAA's will be. Okay,
so we'll see about all of that. And again, we're going to talk about Chambliss as a draft prospect a little later in the show or as the week goes on. Anyway, Paul, I'll finish it up with you because you and I, we remember things that happened once upon a time. And I remember Steve Fisher stepping in for Bill Frieder at the University of Michigan. Obviously, that was a basketball situation, not a football situation. But stepping in when Frieder was leaving to take another job, and Bo Schembechler, who was the AD at that point, said a Michigan man is going to coach Michigan, and they went and won the whole damn thing. They won the national championship. Let's talk about the possibility. How would you frame what this will be like if Mississippi does exactly that in football now?
Well, what's so interesting here is that was different because Lane Kiffin left Ole Miss for one reason. He didn't feel like he could win a national championship. So he went to LSU where he thought it would be easier. Meanwhile, his old team is about to contend for one. It's so interesting, too, if you go back 4 or 5 years, Greeny, guess who also left a major program to go to LSU to win a national championship because he couldn't win one where he was? That's Brian Kelly, and his team his old team played for the national championship last year. Coaches should quit leaving places to go elsewhere when they have a very good situation where they are.
Yes, especially in the new age of college football where the old rules just don't apply anymore. All right, all of you stay right where you are. We have so much more on the college football playoff semifinals as we continue, and we remind you that they are on our air. We've got them on ESPN and ESPN Deportes.